All right, it is 8:15 on this Friday. My friends, we
Happy
made
Friday!
it. My friends, we made it. If you are watching Extra Shot right now, obviously you are. Leave the comments in the box below. We will be tracking them. You saw all the topics we're going to get to. Shout out to Rob for throwing up that. He helped us create that graphic, which I think is so cool.
Yeah,
because
right.
it gives you an idea as to what we're talking about.
What's interesting is when you're going through your feed, right, you will probably see some of the stories we're going to talk about maybe ahead of when you see what it is. So then if you want to hear us talk about it, or you want to chime in and say, okay, I want to talk about this too, then you can do it.
And
so
be completely
it tells us what we're covering.
Transparent with us. Do you like it? Do you not? How do you want us to bring you the news every single day?
Or how much do you like it?
How much do you like it?
You got to ask the question the right way.
Rob's a sensitive guy, so maybe just tell us secretly.
Yeah. Leave the emojis in the box.
Thank you for helping us out, Rob. That's awesome.
Yeah, we love this new platform because we're able to, well, it's not very new. Facebook's not very new. But for us, the interaction with all of you is great. So keep commenting. Okay, let's get to this first story. We are going to talk about the controversial interview, Megyn Kelly versus conspiracy theorists. I know this is a topic you guys talked about when Cornelia and I were involved earlier in the week, but that controversial interview between them that is coming out this Sunday on Father's Day. It's picking up a lot of steam and a lot of heat because of the way that Megyn Kelly in this promo that NBC put out, I guess the way that the promo sounds, right? According to Alex Jones, he is saying that it vilifies him, that it's making him seem like he's a monster. We all know that he is the host of InfoWars. This is a radio show. He's a radio host, conspiracy theorist, and his look on the Sandy Hook massacre that happened back in 2012, 20 kids died, 6 adults died. He has come out and said that that was a fake incident. And so this is causing not only the parents of those kids who are no longer here to be outraged, the fact that Megyn Kelly and the fact that NBC is giving him this, in their eyes, monster, a platform to shine because he has so many followers, but they're really angry about this. Well, okay, so this promo comes out. Alex Jones is very upset about it. And he's saying, you know what? Now I'm going to clap back. I'm going to give you the real interview. I actually didn't say that Sandy Hook was fake. And he is claiming that he actually said different things. So he is leaking tonight. He's already leaked a version. We'll get to that in a second. But he is leaking the recorded interview that he and his team recorded during their conversation. He recorded everything from, according to him, the conversation she was having on the phone when they weren't sitting down. The entire time they spent together, he recorded it, and he's going to release the audio recordings to prove that she is actually the monster. So this is a mess. Let's go ahead and play what Alex Jones, this conspiracy theorist, put on his Twitter account this morning.
You just became very fascinating to me. I just sort of thought you were this maybe, one-dimensional guy. Like, this is your thing. My goal is for your listeners and the left, who will be watching some on NBC to say, wow, that was really interesting. And then the next time I want to get somebody, they're going to say, look what you did to Alex Jones. It's not going to be some gotcha hit piece. I promise you that.
Okay, so this video goes on and on, and again, he teases ahead to tonight that he's releasing more audio recordings. So when I'm listening to this, when we're listening to this, that was, in case you're a little confused because the audio sounds different in different parts, that was Megyn Kelly the whole time. He butted up sound bites of her and audio
so there was
pieces
some
of her.
He claims it's all unedited, but there was some editing
in there.
There just was.
So there's that.
Yeah.
It sounds like to me she was schmoozing him in order to get this interview, which as journalists, go ahead, Dina.
Well, not to say that we're going to mislead somebody into getting an interview.
No, but you're trying to get the
interview.
But
you're trying to get the interview. So clearly, he had to know going into this that he's been somebody who is incredibly scrutinized for the things that he has said, specifically speaking the Sandy Hook. By the way, this is going to be released on Father's Day, as Rob mentioned to us, which is just poor timing, which I think. But for Megyn Kelly, she's trying to say, look, it's not going to be a hit piece. We know that the president gave you White House press credential. We want to know why the president feels like it's okay to do that for somebody who so many people hate. So she's trying to get him to say, okay, I'll do the interview.
Which could all be very accurate.
True.
And a hit piece to her, not being a hit piece to her, could be a hit piece in his eyes.
Right.
So that's all in the eye of the beholder.
Right.
So she could not be lying.
But I think that there has to be some level of, hey, I'm going to talk to you like this, but when the cameras are on, we're going to get down to business. And that shouldn't be something that he's shocked by. I think he needed to know going into this, he was going to be put his feet to the fire and he was going to be asked the tough questions. If he didn't want the interview done, he shouldn't have done it.
He shouldn't have agreed to it.
Right.
But let's talk about the fact that he had cameras rolling. He had a recording going.
Right.
Because obviously, and he says in this little piece that I knew she was going to do this to me. So maybe this was his plan the whole time. I don't know. Getting messy, Rob. What do you think?
Well, let's. You have to understand what his brand is.
Yeah.
His brand is whatever everybody is saying is not right, and this is the real truth. So he could never do a mainstream media interview without abandoning his brand. He has to be that way. He has to be the thorn in the side, and that's his angle. That's what he works all the time. His business, his livelihood, all depends on him being opposite of what everybody else is saying. So there's no surprise to this at all, but I do think that the team that's putting this interview together, because we're hearing through various media reports,
Page 6 has reported that they
are reevaluating how this will be presented on Sunday night.
Re-editing.
Exactly, and I think that they probably are a little bit surprised by this, because it sounds to me like, if you believe the reports, that there's some scrambling going on behind the scenes. So he gets everything that he wants out of this, and it remains to be seen what the final product will be and the reaction to it. I can tell you this much. Just the fact that people are talking about Sandy Hook again in any sort of light that is not completely out of respect for the families with what they went through, and now they're all going through it again. Now they've got to answer the phone. They've got to answer the phone and hear apologies again from people that they don't know, and they don't know them.
Right.
And they've got to sit there and defend their kids who died in all of this.
By
I'm
someone
still
who
really
says
upset about all this.
that this was a fake massacre.
Right.
Or even someone that was on the cusp about it. Because let's say his reports were true, what he's saying, I didn't say that.
But I have what he said. So after your comment, we'll read him.
So let's say he's like, I did not say that. The fact that it was even a question on the table, and the fact that that was even out there, and the fact that he was invited to do the interview was going to get controversy within itself. So when I asked Megyn before we taped, I was like, do we know if this is his first interaction with Megyn Kelly? Because Megyn Kelly has controversy that comes with her from the Fox News background and now on a platform like NBC. So with that said, I was a little shocked that he was kind of surprised by the schmoozing or surprised by
or
the
he
approach,
fed into it,
or that he fed into it, or felt like, yeah, I knew this was going to happen, because again, just based on rumblings, this isn't uncommon, or this isn't off-brand.
Unexpected.
Right.
So I will say this. He's now saying the whole reason why he's upset is because he thinks that this is going to be a hit job, that Megyn Kelly and the NBC team edited this together to make him look really bad. Well, why don't we go back to the facts? Why don't we talk about what he said after Sandy Hook? Because he can say now whatever he believes, but it doesn't change the fact that he said what he said when he said it. That's why so many parents and families and people were upset. So real quickly, 2013, Jones said the shooting was staged. It's got inside job written all over it. Then in 2014, I've looked at it, and undoubtedly there's a cover-up, there's actors, they're manipulating. Then later in 2014, the whole thing is a giant hoax. So it's not like he said it one time and now he's backtracking.
For years.
He said it for years, many times.
And remember, as you're going back in time, you're getting closer to when the actual event happened, and closer to the raw emotions of what the actual families went through, the community, law enforcement that had to go in there. I mean, it's truly remarkable that so many years later, we're still talking about this in some sort of conspiratorial fashion, and he's still making headlines, and this is all clicks back to his website. He's making a lot out of this. In fact, if you go to his website, he will talk about the controversy. There's a 5-minute clip that he put out there. 2 minutes of it is direct advertising, marketing, InfoWars branded non-fluoride toothpaste, supplements to increase male virility. So it's a business, and it is predicated on exposing what people think is real, and it's the exact opposite. Here's the bottom line, and this, I want to take this bigger. What we have here, in my opinion, is we have two giant forces in the media. He represents millions of people and their views, and let that be known, and they need to be understood that it's not just him. Millions of people support what he thinks.
Frankie right now, he's not a lunatic. He makes very valid points on our Facebook page.
Exactly. He presents a point of view, and a lot of people subscribe to that point of view, so we understand that. Megyn Kelly is a huge, huge media presence. right now, what we have, in my opinion, is two giant egos battling things out at the expense of the families of Sandy Hook and the community. So now they've completely forgotten what this is all about. This is not about Alex Jones, in my opinion, and Megyn Kelly. They need to bow out. They need to cancel this thing, and they need to focus on, now we've dug this all back up. Everybody's feeling raw. The emotions are coming out again. And for what? What purpose was this interview going to serve?
Well, so that was my question now, is the conversation, should the interview have even happened, and going forward, should the tone be, because I mean, I'm not sure what the tone of Megyn Kelly's show is. I think this was supposed to set the tone going forward. We're not sure.
It's pretty new. Yeah.
Now, does this change the direction of the entire show? Because if this is going to be the tone of it, then you got to go with that. Whatever route you want to choose, you got to go with it. If you're going to be booking Alex Jone's, then
of the world,
of the world, then just book them. But you got to own that. So should the interview be scratched?
And NBC has gone on the record, according to some reports we're reading this morning, to say they are going ahead with it. And I think the damage has already been done in the sense that they agreed to do the interview. Megyn Kelly interviewed him. The promo's out. So now if you don't do it, what does that say?
Here's my thing, going back to it, and I understand where you're coming from. You're a father. You can understand.
Right.
But cannot even understand, right, what that pain when you lose a child, especially in that way. You talk about what happened in Newtown on that tragic day. 20 kids. I mean, we're talking about kids here, and yes, adults as well. But my thing is, when Megyn Kelly decided, and I think this is a network thing, we can all understand that as journalists. The network helps you decide what it is you are going to do, sign off on things, yes, no, maybe so. I think it's her responsibility to tell stories. And you're not always going to like the people whom you interview. And majority of people in the world may not like the person you're interviewing. But if they're getting representation in the world by our commander-in-chief, we need to know who he is so that we can make our own judgments based off of the facts coming out of his mouth in that time. And how is she going to conduct this interview is going to be up to her as a journalist. But I, as someone who has my own opinions about this whole thing, will tune in whether I agree or disagree with him, because I want to see him say those words or not. I want to get the facts from that conversation. I'm about conversations and then making my judgments after. So I'm reading all these things, hearing him talk, you know, in a format where he has this audience of people who he knows believes in him and loves him. How is he going to answer these questions in that moment? If Barbara Walters were to do this interview, if Diane Sawyer were to do this interview, would we be questioning it?
But that goes and speaks to the difference in those journalists. Megyn Kelly came from a platform that some groups considered that was their go-to, and some people considered it very divisive. So Megyn Kelly came to NBC with a reputation, whether you think it's good or bad. So the difference between a Barbara Walters, a Diane Sawyer, and a Megyn Kelly is, when you put different interviewers in front of different people, you're going to take it and perceive it a different way. So certain people, you can be like, oh, she's trying to get to the bottom of this. And some people, you're like, oh, she's trying to stir the pot. Same interview, same people, but it just depends on who you are bringing to the table as your own personality, as your own reputation, as your own brand.
And you have opinions about Megyn Kelly that differ from mine. So when I think of Megyn Kelly, and this is based off of the information, and I started watching her in more recent years. I'm not someone who had been following her for the years that she's been in broadcast television, but I respect her as a journalist, someone who can go head to head with the male-dominated world in politics and ask these combative questions and get answers. Whether I agree with her and how she answers back, how she responds, as a journalist, I respect her. But can you talk about reasons maybe in which others don't respect her?
Well, just in just keeping it very high level, sometimes people categorize particular groups of people as a certain thing. Their brand and their platform kind of focuses on the negativity and not so much seeing the other side. So if you spend time and you spend energy painting certain people as criminals or bad, or just saying different code words, because a lot of times it's about the code words. Code words to categorize certain people, then people are gonna be severely turned off. And now if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, then it's a duck.
Okay, can I just throw in?
Yes.
Megyn said earlier that it's about the facts, and it's about hearing the facts out of Alex Jones's mouth and being able to hear his perspective. He is now questioning whether or not his facts are going to be edited, and whether or not his facts are going to be presented in a way that is representative of him. He's now saying, NBC is putting out this hit job on me. We did the interview. I said what I said, but are they going to show that?
Yeah, are they going to cut sound bites off?
Right. So now when you're watching the interview or not, he is going to come out and say whatever NBC is putting is not representative of what I really feel. So are you really getting his side?
Now, is he leaking the entire?
I don't know.
Is he going to leak the entire behind the scenes from his perspective? Because NBC could release their interview, and then if he releases his, then you have the two sides to compare. So are we going to get the full story?
He says unedited, but like this morning, that was edited.
It sounded edited.
Well, and let me just go back to this. Again, this is egos. This is NBC, Megyn Kelly versus Alex Jones, and caught in the middle of all this are innocent families. So, in my view, that's Sandy Hook is off limits. This is a real tragedy. One of the darkest days in our nation's history.
No, you're right.
And that is the ammunition that they're going back and forth with each other to try and figure out who's more credible, who's more of a journalist, who's telling the real story.
This
the
has
reality
become
is
something
that
else.
those kids died. It's an enormous tragedy, and now all those families have to relive it. And in my view, all of this is just a waste of time, and it's bringing up a lot of negative energy. And in the world, we got a lot of things going on. Can we move on to something more positive? Because honestly, this whole story is bringing me down.
So would it be better in your eyes if NBC said no to this interview altogether, and Megyn Kelly and Alex Jones still held an interview together, not including Sandy? Let's talk about him as who he is then in all the stories.
I don't think you can do an interview with him without that. I think on top of all the other conspiracy theories.
I think
that's the thing that most people would recognize as the most controversial. So to do an interview without those topics, I think you can't.
He's not capable of functioning without stirring up these kinds of emotions, without touching these topics that affect. Because the other one that he's well known for is that 9/11 is a huge conspiracy.
Exactly.
And that was fake.
Yes, so there are multiple theories under his belt.
So let's say we avoid
there are
the
a lot
20
of people
families.
that think the 9/11 thing didn't happen, though.
Great.
He's not alone in that. I'm just saying.
I know, that's great. But now we're talking about 2,000 to 3,000 people directly, with the Pentagon, with the airplanes, with World Trade Center, some of the side buildings as well. I mean, where do you want to go with this? I mean, I will say this. Every once in a while, conspiracy theories are true. Okay, how the Vietnam War started, there was a conspiracy in the very beginning of that did end up being a conspiracy that was true, and there's among other things. But so it's not like that role, you abandon that role. But all I'm saying is that there's a trail of just bad negative energy wherever he goes. Now it's in mainstream. Now we're all talking about this, and I just feel bad about these families. That they have to go through this again. They already had their tragedy, and now they have to have another one.
And we have a lot of you responding this morning, telling us, I think Maria de la Cruz says this will give this lunatic more publicity. Shake my head. So she says, why even go there? But then we're also seeing, let's see, Frankie again, who said he's not a lunatic, makes very valid points. So we do have 6 million people, I think, that follow him on his YouTube and social media platforms, and then also on the radio. So yes, there are going to be multiple opinions about him. At this point, will you watch? NBC is going to show it. Will you watch, and for what? Or will you say, no way, no how? I'm curious.
Right. And Joel David Broussard on Father's Day. Very insensitive. Definitely agree with that. But let me get to Joel David Broussard. Did the cameraman just agree by moving the camera up and down?
No, the camera.
No,
camera
camera
died.
died.
Let's go ahead.
No, the camera is battery powered, stabilized, so that's why it's a steady shot as it moves. One of the batteries went down. We had to replace it, so one of the gimbal axes was off.
Yes.
That's a very technical explanation. There is nothing implied by that.
Nothing implied. So thank you guys
Steven
for watching.
behind the camera
precisely.
did not mean to do anything.
No.
Right. If the other battery would have gone down, the other axis would have disagreed. So maybe
been
the
all-
batteries have
all
an
over
opinion
the
on
place.
this,
Maybe
but
the
it is not the
batteries do.
camera operator, the
Or is it a
camera.
conspiracy theory?
Oh.
Right.
You're right.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Hey.
Okay, well, I'm interested. NBC has yet to respond to this Alex Jones leaking tweet. Leakage
Video,
tweet, audio, and the fact that he says tonight he is releasing more. We'll move on from this topic. Okay, let's talk about the temperatures